Today is Monday, May 18th, 2020. I'm going to be listening to Joy Division's An Ideal for Living, which came out in 1978, as well as Unknown Pleasures, which came out in 1979. Giving credit where credit is due, Joy Division consists of Ian Curtis, Stephen Morris, Bernard Sumner, and Peter Hook. Peter does bass, Stephen does drums, Ian does vocals, and Bernard does guitar. It says the band produced their own EP, An Ideal for Living, but for Unknown Pleasures as well as for Closer, but I didn't say this, I'm sure. But Martin Hannett, he produced both those studio albums. An Ideal for Living's track listing starts off with Warsaw at 226. The second track is No Love Lost at 342. The third track is Leaders of Men at 234. And the fourth track is Failures at 344. It is just a 4-track EP. Before Joy Division is Warsaw, and there are some tracks that Warsaw did that Joy Division did not end up doing, which, I mean, Warsaw, I believe, is for the most part, it's the same band members, but there was a different drummer at the time. I can't remember his fucking name offhand. When I get to the B-sides, I'll fucking mention them, and I'll probably mention the Warsaw tracks, because it's just like, it's only like 4 or 5 more tracks, so it's just like, why not? And it's, kind of nice to see, once again, like, when you fucking listen to B-sides from the beginning to, around their fucking end or whatever the fuck, whenever whenever they stop making whenever it fucking ends, whatever. It's just interesting to see how they change through time. All I'm getting at is that I'm not going to be listening to those tracks today. Disorder is the first track off of Unknown Pleasures at 336. The second track is Day of the Lords at 448. The third track is Candidate at 305. The fourth track is Insight at 430. The fifth track is New Dawn Fades at 448. The sixth track is She's Lost Control at 356. The seventh track is Shadow Play at 354. The eighth track is Wilderness at 238. The ninth track is Interzone at 216. And the 10th track is I Remember Nothing at 553. Getting into the lyrics, starting off with An Ideal for Living, and the first track being Warsaw. If you want to look up on Genius, it seems like some people have heavily deciphered this fucking this EP. I'm sure they did the same with the album. So I'm going to try to decipher it in a different way. I mean, apparently this is a song that is a lyrical biography of Rudolf Hess. I mean, once again, if you want to look at more into what exactly it's about, you can. I'm going to try to decipher it in a different way if that's possible. I mean, once again, in terms for the biography, just pulling out some lines. I was there in the backstage when First Light came around. I can see all the weakness. I can pick out all the faults. Then it kind of ends. I know it's like, that's kind of the beginning, and the end is, I just see contradiction. Had to give up the fight just to live in the past tense to make believe you were right. Verse 3 establishes the setting of this narrator being in a prison. And I mean, like, deciphering this alone, you can already see that Joy Division don't seem to be fascists or even, into National Socialism. They're honestly kind of ragging on it. So when people did think that they were potentially associated with, the Nazi party, it's kind of funny for them because it's completely ridiculous. I mean, once again, this track alone is just kind of bashing, like, this is what's going to happen if you fucking, follow this dude into the fucking ground, essentially. This dude just left there and, like, realized denial of his beliefs, but still unable to accept that denial. I mean, taking a step back for even the narrator, kind of taking into metaphor kind of sake, it's about having beliefs in something and seeing something and, totally, believing it just from seeing it, only to potentially years later have to live in denial or, while also living in this prison-like state. I mean, once again, this is all through metaphor, and maybe this is something that the narrator or even Ian himself was kind of afraid of for this band, or even trying to go out and doing what he wants to do, believing in himself and believing in, the people around him and whatnot. It could be stretching here. Regardless, the narrator comes off pretty confident, almost pretty cocky even. I grew up like a changeling to win the first time around. So basically, this person's willing to adapt to win, especially the first time around. Not even have to ever be a loser. Have to try again. I can see all the weakness. I can pick out all the faults. Well, I concede all their faith tests. Fucking A. Well, I concede all the faith tests just to stick in your throats. I hung around in your soundtrack. I mean, this kind of might even be like kind of almost more of like maybe I'm stretching here in like a meta-like way, but he's kind of like, I hung around in your soundtracks. I mean, once again, this is kind of going to be like Ian kind of talking almost on a journalistic approach. I mean, once again, like, I don't know why the fuck you'd be drawing similarities to this one guy, but I guess he was just like fascinated with the history or even the ideology. Who knows, man? I mean, if you've ever listened to like Ice Age, for example, which that band came out decades after Joy Division, but I mean, just from paying attention to their lyrics as well, it's very almost kind of like a carnivore, kind of like predator eating prey kind of mentality, and confidence and even like optimism. But once again, there's like, even in this track though, I mean, there's like, even though there's a lot of optimism, like there's like kind of like in the background, like, foreshadowing nihilism, or just fucking feeling like failure is gonna be inevitable, that it's all fucking wrong, man. Reading the fucking wiki article, at one moment there was a quote that I think Hook said later on that he wasn't even able to hear exactly what the guitar sounded like because they played so fucking loud. So there, at one point, I guess he really fucking didn't like how the albums were mixed, but then he came around, I guess. But anyway, just kind of, well, once again, this one line, to mirror all that you've done. So, like, I mean, when you're on stage with something, with a band anyway, with something that kind of incorporates, a number of people having to kind of harmonize together as one unit, making a fucking song, like, literally, it's kind of interesting. And once again, like, I don't know, you'd want to, you'd think you'd want to hear everything and even, like, rehearse. And I'm sure they rehearse, but at the same time, though, like, just, like, it'd be so fucking loud that you literally couldn't even hear every single, you just play your fucking part and, like, hopefully, obviously, clearly, if you composed it, you'd know how it begins and, how it ends and whatnot, but it's just, I don't know, man. I'm sure, like, it's not, that quote's probably not totally fucking true. I mean, I'm sure fucking Hook definitely at least knew something, probably knew the riff at least somewhat, but, I mean, he was probably at least saying that their live performances, were a lot louder than the studio album. But then once again, I saw another quote saying where Morris was arguing that it's like, the studio album should be totally different than the live performance, like, so then if you want to listen to it at home, and then if you want to listen to it live or whatever, it's going to definitely give you a different kind of energy, and it's probably going to be a lot faster paced and whatnot live compared to in the studio, or on a studio album, excuse me. I know for a fact, like, he wasn't probably thinking that when he wrote that line. It makes me think that, I guess. Define the right side of reason. So it's just, once again, we're all trying to find the right path, essentially. To kill the 3 lies for 1. I mean, once again, I don't think that he's totally writing this, but at the same time, though, it's like, I'm not gonna say everybody, but some people they consider themselves to be living a lie. I mean, I would say I want to be fucking on the same level as Joy Division. I want to be performing around the world, or they were going to anyway. Like any other fucking, even we'll say New Order. You know what I mean? New Order got to fucking be an international band. I'd love to be an international band. I'd love to have a fucking band and whatnot. I can compose music, but to get to that level. But anyway, so in a sense, like, I might be a musician that composes, but I still feel like I'm living a lie in a sense because I'm not performing. So once again, to kill the 3 lies for 1. So it's just like, saying one thing, saying things, and then doing another thing, and all he's suggesting, I guess, is at least trying to narrow down these lies to be, once again, potentially even a better person, or, I don't know, to at least be happier with himself. Once again, this is narration, or the narrator, per se. I mean, and this is, me fucking probably stretching it very fucking far out. I can see all the cold facts. Once again, this narrator suggesting that they can see the truth. I can see through your eyes, all this talk made no contact no matter how hard we tried. Seeing through somebody and feeling isolation as well. Not being able to connect with anybody, no matter how hard they tried. No Love Lost explains where they get Joy Division in the first place. In these concentration camps during World War II, there'd be certain sections, I don't think maybe in all concentration camps, but there would be these sections called Joy Divisions, or just Joy Division in general. That kind of, it had Jewish prisoners having sex with any Nazi soldier, or soldier in general, for the Axis side. It's also saying for non-Jewish prisoners as well. The book references House of Dolls. I'm not sure if the author's name is really this or if it's just like a prisoner number, but it's Kashietnik. Kashietnik, 135-633. Once again, now that I've read the lyrics, it kind of totally reminds me of Elias Bender Ronnenfeld's the lyrics, specifically for like, say, You're Nothing and New Brigade. The lyrics are just very fucking harsh in terms of subject matter. So as for the narrator being a Jewish woman having to be also a sexual prisoner in a concentration camp, just some references to that kind of perspective. Once again, so long sitting here, didn't hear the warning, so without warning, they're probably going to be getting, essentially raped at any fucking point in the day, hence probably at the very end where they're saying, wishing that this day won't last, at the very end of the song. The phrase, just to see you torn apart, witness to your empty heart, could mean two things. Like the narrator wants to see the people that have been doing this to them to be killed ruthlessly, or the other way around, how they're essentially metaphorically being torn apart just to see their empty heart, because obviously they're definitely not fucking in love with this fucking idea at all, let alone this situation. Through the wire screen, the eyes of those standing outside looked in at her, as into the cage of some rare creature in a zoo. In the hand of one of the assistants, she saw the same instrument, which they had that morning, inserted deep into her body. She shuddered instinctively. No life at all in the House of Dolls. No love lost. It just depicts a day-to-day life for these Jewish women that had to fucking be fucked against their will by all these Nazi soldiers and fucking, probably even, scientists experimenting on them. The last couple of lines, to never see you show your age, to watch until the beauty fades. It's kind of like the narrator's just afraid that they're going to be stuck in this concentration camp doing this forever, or at least until they're no longer needed, in which they'll probably get fucking killed. So even though No Love Lost is definitely about this experience that women prisoners, mostly women, women prisoners had to deal, Jewish women prisoners had to deal with. I do think that it probably does mean some other things as well. So long sitting here, didn't hear the warning. We've been moving around in different situations, knowing that the time would come. You've been seeing things in darkness, not in learning, hoping that the truth will pass. No life underground, wasting, never changing, wishing that this day won't last. To never see you show your age, to watch until the beauty fades. I need it. The narrator is patiently waiting and hoping for, things to turn out well for them. They know they have to be patient, but it's this agonizing patience. When things do happen, it's just sudden and without warning. With the line, you've been seeing things in darkness, it essentially is saying that the narrator is seeing things in a negative light, or constantly seeing or thinking of negative things. It's pretty hard to make a living in the underground. Hence the phrase, no life underground. To never see you show your age, to watch until the beauty fades. The narrator's definitely afraid that nothing's going to come to them, or everything that they're waiting for won't amount to anything, because it's just not going to come in the first place. Or so they think. They're gonna be old, they're gonna be fucking withered away, and it's gonna amount to fucking nothing. Everything they worked for, everything that they, lived for, fucking nothing. Leaders of Men, the lyrics, in my opinion, are kind of clunky. It kind of definitely shows a very early days kind of song structure for lyrics anyway. But it's essentially just someone criticizing how leaders say that they're going to change people's lives but don't end up fucking doing anything, and if anything are probably the reason why they have problems and issues in the first place. Not all issues and problems, but a lot of them. The message is pretty straightforward. The lyrics for Failures is a little bit better, not as clunky. Don't speak of false messiahs. Break the image of your father's son. He was thought of as the only one. He no longer denies all the failures of the modern man. He no longer picks sides, sees the failures of the modern man. With a strange fatality, break the spirits of a lesser man. I think these messages are just kind of like mottos to live by. The narrator is also criticizing what's come before them. Just like kind of showing like early levels of rebellion. Conspiracies aside, I mean, like, it's just like, if you or I were to run it, would we really fucking run it any different? And if it were to be run differently, would it be run better? I mean, clearly, don't get me wrong, once again, I'm not the hugest fan. I mean, because I live in America, United States specifically, capitalism, it just totally runs the whole everything. So it's just like, if you can make money, you're a fucking valuable component to society. All else can fuck off. I'm sure that lifestyle is not too much different in any other fucking country. The chorus changes up at times. No, he can't pick sides. No, he can't despise. No longer denies. It goes from like this very confident he will no longer pick sides to he can't pick sides even if he wanted to. With the title of being Failures, just kind of, talking about the failures of society and humankind in general, whether it's in our nature or something that we kind of built ourselves. I also think through the perspective of the narrator, Ian Curtis is talking about how each of us often make failures or mistakes based on our own perspectives of what we see, or even what we've seen, what we've experienced. The lyrics for Failures has this story within itself, kind of this narrator changing perspective or opinion. From seeing the failures of mankind to being like, I can understand why it is the way it is. Humans are fucking flawed. I think that's generally the perspective that most of us go through as we grow up. Some people are smarter and logical than others. Other people had to fucking go through some experiences or go through some shit to get to this perspective. Some people just simply read about it because history repeats itself. If you look at what you're interested in compared to somebody else, they're probably getting the same exact messages that you are. Not every single fucking message, but I mean, at the same time, though, like, you also got to think about, like, the things that you kind of morally stand for compared to what they morally stand for, and why they like what they like compared to why you like what you like. What you like might not make sense to them, or it just might go against their morals or their law or whatever, their law of life. Wise words and sympathy tell the story of our history. I think that's kind of a criticism or just commentary about how our histories are just based on who's won the war, I guess. Or rather, who's survived. And naturally, if it's your own history, you're going to have some kind of level of sympathy to it. If not, empathy, but, we're often not going through the exact same thing. Which I'd say is another flaw of humanity or just society in general. Just some people just thinking that we all do go through the exact same thing, that we all are, kind of have the exact same, dealt the exact same hand, that we all got to just like pick ourselves up from our fucking bootstraps and everything will be fucking all right. I think, to some certain extent that's true, but, a lot of other times, I mean, it's through the aid of, and help of other people, which kind of allow you as well as guide you to your path of choice. We also often don't criticize our own history, whether our own personal history or our nation's history. Or our world's history, even. And when that history is often discussed, it's always like usually in a good light and never often in a bad light. The bad stuff gets swept under the rug. Hiding the truth can often result in that repeating of history. No one's able or allowed to learn from the mistakes, especially if they don't know or acknowledge that it exists. The lyrics for Disorder are pretty fucking complex, man. I've been waiting for a guide to come and take me by the hand. Who doesn't want a fucking angel by their side? Some might prefer the devil. Today is now Tuesday, May 19th, 2020. Could these sensations make me feel the pleasures of a normal man? I might be stretching here, but I think it's, whatever path that we may be on, hopefully, we're going to be doing everything that'll make it so that we can deem ourselves as normal. It's kind of like that, if you party all the time, are you really solving the problem? Or if you run away from the problem all the time, are you really solving the problem? Maybe sometimes, but, if you just constantly run away or avoid or deny or just can't accept the truth, really, will your world not fall apart because of that? I also think in terms of, if you have everything that you wanted, will you be really happy? Or whatever you think that you want, will that really make you happy inside? Will it really give you internal peace? Or is it nothing more than just fantasy? Lose sensations, spare the insults, leave them for another day. I don't think it's possible to always manifest or always have that sensation that we're all running towards. You can even call it a climax, or just that finish line, that feeling of being in the zone. With the phrase "spare the insults," it's just kind of he doesn't need to fucking hear that he's lost, or he's even lost it. We all lose, man. That's simply put. It might even be a mental note for the self to just not beat themselves up inside, or quite literally physically harming themselves. I've got the spirit, as in I've got the drive, or I've got the determination, I've got the motivation. Lose the feeling, which is once again, something that we often can't. I don't know. Personally, for myself, it's very hard to stay the same emotions throughout the entire day, let alone the next day. It's just kind of, and once again, to be in the zone, you kind of have to have that motivation and drive. But you also kind of have to be in that, that right feeling of wherever, whatever is necessary. Sometimes, you need to be a little frustrated. Sometimes you need to be a little down. Sometimes you need to be extremely happy. Whatever it calls for in that moment. Take the shock away. You're either bringing somebody back to life, shocking them, there's shock therapy, and then there's euthanizing somebody. Execution by electricity. Regardless if it means any of that, shock often means pain. Usually. This narrator's just simply saying, I don't want to feel pain right now. Take it away. It's getting faster, moving faster, now it's getting out of hand. Definitely showing off some levels of anxiety. The narrator feels like it's something that's, something that they can't handle. On the 10th floor, simply put, people are afraid of heights. Down the back stairs. You often gotta use the back stairs to escape. Some people use the back stairs to get inside too, but it's a no man's land. An environment that no one can truly own or control. Lights are flashing, cars are crashing, getting frequent now. Lights are often flashing because of an emergency. Cars are crashing is destruction, even death. And clearly getting frequent now, it's, happening more often. I've got the spirit, lose the feeling, let it out somehow. Certain feelings could be a bad thing, if you have a feeling of fear or sadness or anger even, if you lose that feeling, it might make things better. With the phrase "let it out somehow," this narrator is pretty frantic, almost desperate to have this sensation always in their hand, to have control of one's own destiny. What means to you, what means to me, and we will meet again. Simply what you find important compared to what I find important, and we're gonna constantly have to find the middle ground of that, or argue or fight about it. Because there are often different preferences or opinions or ideas or thoughts, moral law, fucking morality, all that shit. I'm watching you, I'm watching her, I'll take no pity from your friends. Who is right, who can tell, and who gives a damn right now? We're constantly observing and judging each other, and basically it's who's right, who should be able to cast the first stone, or, cast stones at all. Who are we to judge? Until the spirit new sensation takes hold, then you know. When you have this drive or this determination, that's when you're truly in the right, or that's that right feeling. It's almost in terms of like vigilantism or superheroes in general, or even just someone who decides to do something outside of the law, or even doing something at the right time at the right moment, even though they don't know all the details, they don't know all the facts, yet they often jump into it based on instinct alone. So not even saving the day or whatever, but it's often an instinct as to why we even fucking feel the way we do in the first place. Say someone looks at you funny or lashes out at you, how do you react to that? Do you fucking take it out on them? I mean, do you kind of confront them? I mean, what do you fucking do? Instinct, action, and reaction. I've got the spirit, but lose the feeling. So once again, I just, this narrator has driver determination, and either they gotta lose a certain feeling that they have that is only weighing them down, or it's that perfect combination of having a drive as well as having that, whatever feeling that is necessary at that right time and moment. And how sometimes, you just don't have that combination often. You either have drive and determination, but you're having a shitty day, which once again could be a really good combination, depending on the situation at hand. Or once again, because you're having a bad day, you don't want to do fucking anything. Yet you still have this feeling to do something, but you don't want to do fucking anything at the same time. I mean, it's one thing to not even have any kind of drive or determination and also have a shitty day. So it's if you have a bad day, at least you don't want to fucking do anything. At least you can just kind of mope around. But if you wanted to do something and you're having a shitty day, you know what I mean? That shitty day can really get in the fucking way. It could be even a shitty event, or even a terrible event, or a traumatic event that is now just kind of there forever, or that's just kind of, it comes back and forth, or just comes back every time through memory, or it just shows up coincidentally or not. Next up is Day of the Lords. This is the room, the start of it all. I really don't think he's talking about any particular room. I think he's just talking about room in general, space. You have room for something, so it's just kind of this is the environment, this is the place, this is the start of it all. He's just kind of the narrator. I don't want to keep on saying Ian, but I mean, anyway, the narrator is just suggesting the beginning of this story, this journey, which does really kind of remind me of Ice Age again. And I know, once again, Joy Division was fucking decades before Ice Age. I guess I'll say it now. I mean, Ian Curtis is a fucking brilliant motherfucking lyricist. If I had to take a guess, he probably read a bunch of philosophy books, or fucking read on philosophy a lot in general, or he's just got a lot of time to think. No portrait so fine, only sheets on the wall. When I hear no portrait so fine, it kind of just sounds like there isn't any portrait either on the wall, or if there is a portrait on the wall, none of them invoke good memories, because often you take pictures of things, of good times, and you look back at them, or you take pictures of people, but only sheets on the wall. So this person, just pretty blank canvas here. Further into the lyrics, it kind of sounds like a warehouse or something like that, or a war scene, or a crime scene. I've seen the nights filled with blood, sport, and pain, and the bodies obtained. Where will it end? I always thought he was saying, when will it end? But it's kind of the same thing. I think it's leaning more on the war scene rather than a crime scene. It sounds like an infirmary during a war. And if you were in this infirmary, you'd see all this fucking gore and shit. And some of these nurses and doctors are, they have to clean that shit up, man. They gotta patch it up. Who's got a fucking stomach for that shit? Let alone a fucking soldier who has to fight the opposition. These are your friends from childhood through youth who goaded you on, demanded more proof. Withdrawal pain is hard, it can do you right in. So distorted and thin, where will it end? So that verse is just kind of painting or depicting or adding more detail that, your fellow soldiers, which could even be your friends, are going to be dying on the fucking battlefield. Whether it's you or them, somebody's getting patched up inevitably. Withdrawal pain is hard, it can do you right in. so distorted and thin. The narrator is just describing going into shock. Who knows who's going to go into shock, man? It's a very traumatic situation. This is the car at the edge of the road. There's nothing disturbed. All the windows are closed. I guess you were right when we talked in the heat. There's no room for the weak. Once again, I guess you could, decipher it as a crime scene kind of scenario again. But this kind of also sounds like either World War II, when the Nazis were hunting the Jews, and they found if they found you anywhere, they're gonna take you in. I mean, and some of them could have been in cars, and they're probably just gonna leave behind the fucking car, man. A fucking predator stalking a prey, man. As a conscious human being, realistically, who honestly would want to be preyed upon? For crime scene's sake, it'd be kind of mysterious if this car that had people in it is just fucking, no longer there, and the car is just left there, just, completely untouched, undamaged. There's even like a ghostly vibe to it, just thinking about even in a house, before you, someone else lived in it probably, and they could be dead. They could have died in that house even. And, it's the same thing with this car. I mean, who knows, whoever owned that car could be fucking dead by this point. I guess you were right when we talked in the heat. I think means like, in the middle of fighting, there's no room for the weak. So perhaps this other person or even other people have said to this narrator, there's no room for the weak. Or that's just like, I guess a common opinion of just like, there's no room for the weak. It's always survival of the fittest. Through childhood, through youth, I remember it all. People often remember their innocence. Some would also call it nostalgia. Anytime it mentioned night, it just indicates darkness or the unknown. Moving on to candidate now. Forced by the pressure, the territory's marked, no longer the pleasure, oh, I've since lost the heart. Stress and pressure can often make things not so relaxing and even anxious. The territory's marked. You're not the only one who wants what you want, and there's usually never enough room, supposedly. Or it could be literally, man, I don't fucking know. Resources are limited. Oh, I've since lost the heart. It's not always to be confident and so determined all the time. At times you can't or don't believe in yourself. Corrupted from memory, no longer the power, it's creeping up slowly, the last fatal hour. So for the line, corrupted from memory, people's memory is not perfect, and also, because of that, some people can misremember what actually happened. Or they're not aware of all the variables that occurred. No longer the power, not having control. It's creeping up slowly, the last fatal hour. Death is always stalking, essentially asking when will we die. Individually, specifically. There's also nuclear fallout. A few other ways of dying with other people, but we all usually die on our own. Nobody else dies with you. Usually. Oh, I don't know what made me, what gave me the right to mess with your values and change wrong to right. Basically asking yourself, why do we do what we do in the first place? Is there always a reason? Is it subconscious? Is it predetermined? Why do we lie to people? Why do we harm people? Why do we hurt people? Why do people kill? Rhetorical questions, but I think the point is just pretty much that the reasons are always different or they vary. We also often mess with people's values because they're different than ours. Please keep your distance. The trails lead to here. There's blood on your fingers, brought on by fear. Please keep your distance, as in like, you can't trust everybody. It's also not a bad idea to be aware of your surroundings. The trail leads to here. There's blood on your fingers, brought on by fear. People often do or do not do things out of fear. Maybe they'll run away. Maybe they won't tell you anything. Maybe they'll kill somebody. Maybe they'll sabotage somebody. Survival of the fittest. I campaigned for nothing. I worked hard for this. I campaigned for nothing, as in like the idea of nothing, or just like literally they campaigned for literally not like their idea of campaigning is like laziness. Or maybe it's like campaigning for like no objections. I tried to get to you. You treated me like this. It's just second nature. It's what we've been shown. We're living by your rules. That's all that we know. I think it's just kind of invoking this feeling of being used, or being played, or being had. It's just second nature. It's just, subconscious or just instinctual. We also set our own rules and boundaries and, kind of are expected to follow each other's rules, which sometimes are fucking conflicting. I tried to get to you. This person tried to change your mind, or this person tried to literally quite literally tried to get to this person, like this giant noble act. Perhaps the compromise or meet in the middle. Next up is Insight. Today is now May 20th, 2020. The opening verse is pretty negative or nihilistic even. Pretty self-defeating, but accepting that defeat as well. I'm not afraid, not at all. I watch them all as they fall. This could be like another war scene where civilians or anyone who's wanted, they might be feeling pretty helpless. But I remember when we were young, so this person still retains innocence, at least the memory of it. Perhaps this naive feeling of daydreaming or just dreaming in general, thinking it's going to take them somewhere. The narrator in the next verse starts criticizing certain aspects of society. Those with habits of waste, their sense of style and good taste, of making sure you were right. Hey, don't you know you were right? At first it's definitely criticism, but upon further review, with the lines, hey, don't you know you were right? So this person's kind of even succumbing to what they thought before was wrong. Their criticisms are actually pretty naive and immature. Or so they think, because if they're still coming from this very negative, nihilistic place. This place of wanting to give up. However, with the lines, I'm not afraid anymore, I keep my eyes on the door, but I remember. This narrator, who was kind of self-defeating and kind of accepting of that defeat, seems to now have this fearlessness. They seem to be fighting through that nihilistic perspective. Almost like a newfound drive or determination. This person hasn't forgotten about their dreams. The next verse kind of deals with nostalgia or, memories or the past or, past experiences in general. Tears of sadness for you, more upheaval for you, reflects a moment in time, a special moment in time. Yeah, we wasted our time. We didn't really have time, but we remember when we were young. Upon reflection for this narrator, they're realizing that when they were younger, they kind of just wasted. Literally, it says we wasted our time. We didn't really have time. They didn't realize that there was a time limit. They just thought that they were allowed to do this because they were kids. They didn't fucking understand the implications of life, and there's only so much fucking time in life, man. We're gonna fucking all die soon. Kids don't fucking realize that shit. We just think that we're gonna live forever. And all God's angels beware, and all you judges beware. Sons of chance, take good care. For all the people not there, I'm not afraid anymore. So on one side, this person almost seems courageous, very brave, willing to stand up to people that oppose them in their views. However, on the other side, to be completely fearless, I think it's kind of a very natural, normal thing to be fearful of something, because if you have no fear, that can be pretty fucking dangerous. Those fears of what happens if I don't get the girl, what happens if I don't get the dream, what happens if I don't get the family that I always wanted, etc., etc., all these things that you wanted. What happens if you don't have any, those fears, you just don't even fucking care anymore about any of that. You just kind of exist, and I don't know, it's almost a very primal, very savage survival instinct, kind of just going into autopilot. You're not totally conscious anymore. If you're truly not afraid of something, then that's just one big thing that you can't relate with other people. Maybe you eat and sleep and shit, but I don't know, can you really have a normal relationship with anybody, friendship, or whatever, even a formal business partnership? You're not afraid you're gonna run the fucking business into the ground, or you're gonna fucking destroy this person's life. You just, once again, no fear. That's fucking dangerous. To be afraid of everything, that's also a problem. But if you have realistic fears, reasons behind, if something bad were to happen, it'd be a tragic thing or a traumatic situation. These fears justify reasons as to why to and not to do something. To be fearless, you're not afraid of the consequences. Or if you, once again, are not afraid of any of that stuff, You're fucking... I don't know, man. You're a walking blade. Careful not to trip and fall on anybody. Goddamn. Alright, so for New Dawn Fades, it starts off with a bunch of change. A change of speed, a change of style, a change of scene with no regrets. A change to watch, admire the distance, still occupied though you forget. Different colors, different shades, over each mistakes were made. I took the blame, directionless so plain to see. A loaded gun won't set you free, so you say. To me, it doesn't seem like the narrator's really handling the change well. This person is still coming off as fearless, which is still pretty fucking dangerous. The narrator is taking fault here. Over each mistakes were made, I took the blame. So they're not completely unreasonable. Directionless, so plain to see. So I mean, once again, this person has no plan. They're just fucking aimlessly drifting in this fucking world. The last couple of lines in the first verse are, a loaded gun won't set you free, so you say. To me, this person's cockily admitting, contemplating suicide. We'll share a drink and step outside, an angry voice and one who cried. We'll give you everything and more. The strain's too much, can't take much more. Oh, I've walked on water, run through fire, can't seem to feel it anymore. Sharing an experience is often like, one way to get closer, but this person is suggesting that they're often ending in arguments or fighting in general, and they can't take it anymore. Oh, I've walked on water, run through fire, can't seem to feel it anymore. This person, Jesus has walked on water. That's an impressive act. This person knows that they're an impressive person. Run through fire. They know that they can be courageous when the time comes for it. But at the time being, they can't seem to feel it anymore. They don't seem to believe in themselves anymore. It was me, waiting for me, hoping for something more. Me, seeing me this time, hoping for something else. I could be stretching here, but I believe this narrator realizes how selfish they are, and how much they need to be patient, but once again, it doesn't seem like they can fucking handle waiting anymore. They can't take any of it anymore. I don't think at the quote so much from She's Lost Control. There's two perspectives here. One person who has this compulsive nature in controlling their relationship, and the other one is this feeling of not having control at all in life. It is set through one perspective, but it's just uncanny, kind of like this almost split personality. Confusion in her eyes that says it all. She's lost control. And she gave away the secrets of her past, and a voice that told her when and where to act. And she turned around and took me by the hand, and how I'll never know just why or understand. And she screamed out, kicking on her side, and seized up on the floor. I thought she'd die. Well, I had to phone her friend to state my case, and she showed up all the errors and mistakes, but she expressed herself in many different ways, and walked upon the edge of no escape. For some reason, these lyrics really remind me of The Horrors. Definitely something that Ferris Badwan would probably write about, or has written about. I digress. This is some pretty fucking Captain Obvious stuff, but, someone who likes having control in their relationship doesn't have it anymore. Next up is Shadow Play. To the center of the city where all roads meet, waiting for you. To the depths of the ocean where all hope sank, searching for you. I was moving through the silence without motion, waiting for you. In a room without a window, in the corner I found the truth. The narrator was not only patiently waiting for this dream or even dream person. I mean, it sounds clearly like they're looking for somebody, but it could be potentially like, they're looking for, once again, they're personifying their dream. But they're coming to realization that what they're searching for is fantasy, most likely. The truth being that it's unreal or untrue. A lot of people choose to just live in denial instead. The next verse mentions assassins. You pay assassins to kill people. These assassins have to plan it out. In the shadow play, acting out your own death, knowing no more, as the assassins all grouped in 4 lines, dancing on the floor, and with cold steel, odor on their bodies, made a move to connect, but I could only stare in disbelief as the crowds all left. Regardless if this is a metaphor or quite literally someone being killed or, a relationship ending or just something in general ending, once again, this narrator kind of doesn't so believe the truth even though they know the truth. And apparently the crowds will not give a shit. They all fucking left. Almost like it's expected. I'm sure 90% of executions always has an audience. So for a crowd to, just leave, to look away, to just fucking not be interested in an assassination of something ending, just kind of really invokes how powerful or even how much so this person or thing should end. I did everything I wanted to. I let them use you for their own ends, to the center of the city in the night, waiting for you. I could be stretching, but it even sounds like this person might even be spiteful of waiting so long. And once again, it brings it back to that like fearlessness, that having no care for the consequences. The next line for Wilderness is this kind of like time travel journey through history. I traveled far and wide through many different times. I saw the saints with their toys. I saw all knowledge destroyed. I traveled far and wide through prisons of the cross. The power and glory of sin, the blood of Christ on their skins. It definitely sounds like ragging on religion. I traveled far and wide, and unknown martyrs died. I saw the one-sided trials. I saw the tears as they cried. They had tears in their eyes. It's criticizing how religion has most likely halted or slowed down the progress of society or humanity in general. It definitely reminds me of the scene of Jesus Christ getting crucified. The last thing I'm going to talk about for this song is I saw all knowledge destroyed. So, I mean, whoever's in power, they get to write history. They write, whatever is knowledgeable, whatever is false. If they want to destroy something, they can. If they want to make something not exist anymore, they can. I mean, nowadays it's a little harder to do something like that, but there's probably ways of getting around that. Maybe not with everything, but I'm sure there's still a lot of things that people get away with. Nowadays, anyway. Interzone kind of sounds like a partially interactive perspective that Ian Curtis is giving while he's waiting for his bandmates to arrive to go off on a tour or even just to perform. I'll be skipping around a little bit. I walked through the city limits, attracted by some force within it, around a corner where a prophet lay, a wire fence where the children played, and I was looking for a friend of mine. And I had no time to waste, looking for some friends of mine. The cars screeched, hear the sound on dust, metallic blue turned red with rust. In a group all forgotten youth are turned on to a knife-edged view. Down the dark streets, the houses look the same. I think the next couple of lines kind of really show how the narrator feels about how people feel about the narrator and his friends. I walked round and round, they nailed me to a tree. No stomach, torn apart, had to think again. Trying to find a clue, trying to find a way to get out. No place to stop, no place to go, no time to lose, had to keep on going. One of the last lines is, I guess they died some time ago, which kind of just, I think it just implies that we all kicked the bucket eventually. The lyrics for I Remember Nothing sound like a relationship that's pretty much fucking fell flat. It's pretty much over. And the couple, though it's through one person's perspective, they're both just kind of like questioning why did it end in the first place? How did it get there? And why has it got to be this way? We were strangers for way too long. Get weak all the time, may just pass the time. Me in my own world, you there beside. The gaps are enormous, we stare from each side. Violent, more violent, his hand cracks a chair, moves on reaction, then slumps in despair. Trapped in a cage and surrendered too soon. Me in my own world, the one that you knew. It's definitely one of those moments where emotions have definitely trumped spirit. Particularly one person, his hand cracks a chair. They're pretty fucking frustrated. But as soon as they go into that frustrated state, they eventually just kind of slump in despair, as it says. They're trapped in a cage and surrender too soon. So it's just, once again, just someone accepting defeat. Though at one point, they're frustrated and they don't want it to happen, but they just inevitably accept it. With the title of I Remember Nothing, I mean, how often do we have these fights where, or these confrontations, these arguments, where it's just like kind of like completely lashing out at times, just almost erratic and irrational. And then, later on, in the future, we just kind of forget about that even happened. I mean, maybe we'll remember that we had a fight, but you won't remember every detail. You weren't, you're not there anymore. A lot of feelings will be forgotten about. And once again, even if they're remembered, like, you can't I don't think it's that easy to just kind of like replicate those feelings again. It's a time and place kind of thing. To keep it full cycle, going back to disorder. I've got the spirit, lose the feeling, take the shock away. I've got the spirit, lose the feeling, let it out somehow. I've got the spirit, but lose the feeling. What do you strive for? How do you get there? And how do you choose to act? As well as react even. Today is now June 12th, 2020. Okay, so when listening to these tracks, I don't get too technical. Like, I don't know everything about musical composition. I don't know every fucking chord and whatnot. What I do write down are when the song structure, or is when the song structure changes up, or when there's like a noticeable change. And though on one side, like, just listing off the time signatures or time frames, whenever the fuck, when it does change or whatever, just listing it off is kind of like pointless in a way. It could be viewed as pointless anyway, but because it's not like in 11 seconds that's when you change it up to the chorus. By chance, I think there might be some kind of math calculations that could be applied, and you could see that in probably math rock and whatnot. And once again, bars and all that shit. I don't fucking go. That goes on for this many bars. That's something I honestly should. Honestly, I don't know why the fuck I never even thought about that. But for me anyway, seeing the benefit of this is like, once again, you're actually seeing. I'm literally forcibly writing down the change ups of the fucking song. So like, as a compositionist, like, it's just, I don't know, there's definitely other ways, some people can just fucking cover the song, but I just I'm trying not, I'd love to cover songs one day maybe, but I'm not trying to steal their sound. I'm trying to just see what they did and apply it, not the exact same way that they did it, but like, just see what they did, and just kind of like, see what, personally, for my opinion, my, personal taste and whatnot, what I do enjoy about the tracks and what I don't enjoy about the tracks. I tend to not really talk about the bad things unless like I really can't fucking stand it or something like that. But, I try to be as neutral as possible by this point. So the first track off the EP of An Ideal for Living is Warsaw, and this track in particular definitely reminds me of, like, it's a lot more menacing than, well, I don't know, because I would say even proto-punk was pretty menacing, and I think punk in general is kind of a little bit more menacing than rock and roll can be. Not always the case, you got like Alice Cooper, I almost said Alice in Chains, they're pretty, I guess Alice in Chains, that's kind of off top. Anyway, but, the sounds that I'm kind of, just, personal opinion here, like, definitely, and once again, these are probably some influences that they definitely have already fucking said, but for Joy Division anyway, they kind of, for this EP, or at least this track anyway, kind of reminds me of definitely of what the punk music movement was kind of doing at 1977. You got like fucking Clash's first couple albums. You got like, I think even Ramones. You got even the Misfits. So even once again, Stooges were already fucking done with their shit by this point. And Iggy Pop was often doing stuff with Bowie. So I'm hearing some of those sounds as influences potentially. However, once again, they're definitely taking a step further into this, like, this chamber, this fucking kind of dungeon, and once again, like, it kind of almost is like this gothic punk or horror punk in a way. It's post punk, clearly, that's how it's labeled or whatever. But I don't, and that's, it's kind of, I don't know. And once again, this is like one of those bands that definitely, was a fucking, pioneer, fucking post-punk or whatever the fuck. And you got Siouxsie and the Banshees as well. And there's a couple other fucking bands. Anyway. Yeah, I don't know. It's still pretty simple. It's just guitar, bass, and drums, and vocals. So it's just, essentially, anyway. On one side, I guess what I'm getting at is, like, it's I understand the importance of a singer or whatnot, but at the same time, though, it's like, isn't it? It's just, a singer, all they have is just a mic in their hand, and it's just like, and once again, like, all I guess I'm saying is that the band could have potentially been as minimal as just 3 people, and I mean that's just one reason why I like punk in ways, because of the minimalism of it. I mean, clearly Ian Curtis is, you know, a very important member, and you know, for especially in artistic integrity's sake as well. You know, without him, you know, you get New Order. I mean, well, New Order plus, I mean, obviously with the events that had occurred, I think I'm sure New Order would be a different band anyway. But anyway, any fucking way. I'm just gonna list off the time frames or whatever the fuck, or time, you know, when the shit changes in the song. Warsaw starts out with Ian Curtis shouting out the prisoner's number, and then like literally 2 seconds later the guitar comes in, 4 seconds later the bass comes in, 6 seconds later the drums come in, and the verse starts up at about 11 seconds, changes up into a chorus at about 33 seconds, or what I'm going to call the chorus. There's a very small bridge from the chorus into the verse, from 33 seconds to the chorus into back into the verse at 44 seconds. 108 goes back to the chorus. 118 is an instrumental bridge, and like I wouldn't say it's a guitar solo, but you know, a guitar is allowed to like kind of like speak in its as though it were its own lead vocals in a way, but you know, obviously a guitar. It goes back to the verse at 137, and then it goes back to a chorus at 2 even, and then it kind of closes out with once again Ian Curtis shouting the prisoner's number again, but I think it's more in the chorus structure than the verse. It's a pretty typical verse chorus verse structure. The next track, No Love Lost, is one of my favorites off of this EP, or if not my favorite off of this EP, rather. The song structure is fucking all over the place, and you know, I don't know if I can even call certain sections choruses. I mean, I'll explain a little bit more in a second. I mean, overall though, I mean, just the song is pretty fun. I mean, it's not, in my opinion, I don't really think it kind of goes that verse chorus verse kind of route. I mean, it's very experimental. It's, you know, I would say it's pretty artistic, honestly. You know, and it's still got those similar vibes as like, you know, what everyone else was doing punk wise. But once again, you know, it's considered post punk. You know, and once again, I think the post punk, I mean, it really should just be called like fucking like gothic punk or fucking horror. I mean, once again, like it's horror punk, you know, and it's definitely very fucking menacing, man. It's like, and it's more menacing. I mean, like, there's definitely, you know, I would say, you know, because you know, hardcore punk really didn't kind of start out until about 80s or so. So I mean, it is pretty much a kind of a precursor to that. But I mean, like, I just think it's a little bit, it's like art punk, honestly. Like, it's just like, I mean, I mean, once again, this might be just me, but I really do think that like kind of like the Clash kind of went into this like art punk kind of direction, like it almost like post punk, especially later on in their career. But you know, I digress in that. But anyway. The bass kind of like flutters starting out the song, and then it kind of just gets its rhythm in at about like 4 or 5 seconds or so. The drums come in at about 9 seconds, but doesn't really kind of start until about 22 seconds. At about 28 seconds, you got the right side has a guitar come in at about 44, and then it goes away. But then at about 44 seconds, the left side guitar comes on the left side. At about 105, I mean, it kind of sounds like these like forces are kind of coming together, and they were kind of like coming together, but like it was still kind of like, I don't know, kind of forming as one. And about like 105, I'd say that's kind of like that first formation, that kind of like solidified formation. At about 112, right side guitar, and it goes away. And then 129, it goes left side guitar, but then it kind of pans into the right side. I think it kind of actually pans into the center, I think, or maybe, you know, from left center, then right side. I don't fucking remember. But 151, I'd say, is the verse, when the verse kind of really does start up. Ian Curtis's vocals come at about 158, and like 220 once again is like kind of a chorus, but it's only really just you know, an additional vocals, kind of backing vocals. I mean, it's all Ian Curtis, but I think, I mean, who knows? I mean, it could be some of the other members, but I memean, once again, whether that's actually the chorus or not, I don't, you know, because once again, it's just like this very experimental. I mean, like once when this chorus kind of changed, I mean, it's not even really even like a chorus. I mean, like the song structure itself, like, you know, they don't really, you know, they're just kind of doing their own thing. There's almost like kind of like a free-form quality to it. It's once again very experimental. At about 228, you know, Ian Curtis goes into spoken word, in which I guess, you know, talking about the vocals, you know, mostly, you know, punk is typically more on the spoken word side than the actual kind of like singing, kind of, you know, I guess opera or whatever the fuck. But with Ian, he's definitely, he sings it sometimes, but there's, for the most part, Punk is kind of like shouting for whatever reason. I mean, maybe it's because they're angry. Most likely. But anyway, from that spoken word, like I said, it kind of goes in like from 244, 248 or so is kind of that, once again, that chorus again, where, some more backing vocals come in together to kind of like, and once again, kind of adding this chorus effect, I guess. But once again, the actual, like, and then it goes into an instrumental break at 253. And once again, they're kind of just like, the beat is fucking, it's phenomenal. Like, once again, it's one of my favorite fucking tracks off. I mean, if it's my favorite fucking track off this EP. And, the song structure is just fucking, it doesn't really change up too much other than the fact that they kind of add variation to it. I mean, once again, 253 kind of like, they're allowed to like explode, I guess, or, launch, I guess. 306 kind of goes back to that verse, and then like once again that 328, got that chorus, the backing vocals come in, and it kind of just closes out at like the end of it. But yeah, once again, song structure's fucking, they're fucking around with this fucking track, man. For Leaders of Men, still that menacing, gothic punk, I guess once again it's post punk, it's definitely what it is. But I mean, anyway, this is another song that I think is kind of, it's the song structure is very fucking different in my opinion. Like I don't know what I'm gonna explain, I guess, for the verses and whatnot. Like they could be potentially like chorus 1, chorus 2, or I mean, how I'm writing it down is just there's verse 1, verse 2, and then verse 3. There's like literally 3 different times where it's like the song structure doesn't change up too much. I mean, it's slight, so I mean, hence like why I'm saying but it's fucking okay. Let me just fucking get into it. All right, so drums start off at they start off the fucking song. 3 seconds, the bass comes in, and it's very beatnik as fuck. 11 seconds, the guitar comes in. 25 seconds is the first verse. Definitively, that's when the verse fucking, first verse. 38 seconds, like it's definitely a variation in the song structure, but and Ian is also singing differently. But I mean, I'm calling it. I mean, maybe it's a chorus, but I mean, I'm gonna consider it as verse 2. 48 seconds has this very quick drum fill, or just like kind of a fill or bridge, and then 50 seconds goes right back into verse 1. 104 goes into that verse 2 again, and then, or if you want to call it a chorus, I'm not sure. 115, you get that bridge again, that really quick. I mean, I think it's a little bit longer. Then it goes back into verse at 118, and then at 132 it goes into like once again either like chorus 2 or verse 3. I mean, the song structure itself by this point is similar to verse 1, but Ian is now singing differently. In fact, he's not singing the title of the track, but which is why once again it could be chorus 2 or chorus 1 even, I don't know. Then there's an instrumental break at 214, and that 223 kind of closes out. Well, I mean, like, fucking closes, fucking song's a little bit longer than 223, but anyway. I mean, it even reminds me of like bands like Television, or Talking Heads for that matter. It's a very alternative take on punk. It's very fucking artistic. You can totally tell with like, say fucking Talking Heads compared to like, say, Television or even Joy Division or, Siouxsie and the Banshees, which once again could be even considered like kind of gothic rock. Or, a lot of these bands could even be considered gothic rock. But anyway, just there's still some kind of like creative chemistry that's all similar. Once again, they're all, I think, kind of taking chances and experimenting with music rather than kind of just doing once again verse, chorus, verse. Not that they're they don't. I'm sure that once again there's plenty of fucking examples where they just did exactly that. But just taking fucking chances, man. And it either works or it fucking doesn't. Simple as that. Time will fucking tell. All right. Now on Failures, which is the last track off of An Ideal for Living. So now, I mean, just real quickly, in terms of like, when anyone's coming up with like an EP or a fucking album, there's many different, you can come up with a fucking compilation, mixtape, fucking, there's, plenty of different fucking options, even, there's remixes and all that shit. But, I would say there's definitely a nice little short story of sorts. It's from beginning to end, kind of, definitely seems to be telling this story. And I guess isn't that happening in all of them? No, I guess in some cases, I guess, but sometimes like an album that's just put together could just be like a bunch of tracks that just the artist happened to put out, and and once again someone could just that's all it fucking is for the most part. There's obviously concept albums, but then there's sometimes where it's just like it's not a concept album, but it's like definitely fucking telling the story for sure. But anyway, I digress on that. It starts off with a guitar humming, and then about 3 seconds, that's when the guitar kind of really does start. 4 seconds, the bass comes in. 7 seconds, the drums come in. At about 11, 12 seconds, when the verse comes in. 36 seconds as an instrumental bridge with kind of like a guitar solo. I mean, it becomes more defined as the song goes on. 51 seconds is the verse. 125 is the second. It's an instrumental break again. It's very similar to the first one, but the guitar solo, like I said, is a little bit more defined. 143 is verse again, and then at 220 it goes into that instrumental break guitar solo, a lot more defined, and it kind of closes out that way about like 320 is when it kind of slowly fades away. As far as I was listening anyway, I did not hear a fucking chorus at all. The chorus was, in a way, the instrumental break guitar solo, which, like I said, happened about 3 times. Alright, so for Unknown Pleasure, specifically Disorder, it's a lot more hookier. There's a lot more of a hook. It's a lot groovier, I guess. I don't know if that's actually a good word for it, but it's, I don't know, man. A lot more danceable, I guess, in compare. I don't know. I guess you could dance to an Ideal for Living, I guess, but I don't know. Just Disorder has a lot more of a hook to it. It's a lot catchier. I guess that's probably a better word. But I will say the song structure is kind of similar to Failures. There's a lot of instrumental breaks, kind of verse to instrumental break, and then at the very end it goes into this chorus. And one other thing they kind of started adding in was a synthesizer. I believe it's a synthesizer anyway. And it kind of just acts as this like kind of like I would say not exactly a gong, but like similar to kind of just makes its presence known for like 1 or 2 seconds, and then it kind of goes away. So it starts off with drums. Bass comes in about 7 seconds. Then on the left side is that synthesizer at about 11 seconds, and it goes away. 17 seconds, you got the guitar coming in. Verse starts up at about 29 seconds. 51 seconds. For some reason, I decided to be a little bit more technical or specific for adding details, I mentioned whenever the synthesizer comes in. So like I said, 29 seconds is when the verse comes in. 51 seconds, that synthesizer comes in for about a couple seconds. And then at 55 seconds, it goes into an instrumental break. And, I won't even say there's any solos or anything. It's just, the song just kind of like doing its fucking thing for a second. Well, not just a second, but at about 122 is when synthesizer comes in again. Once again, just popping up, and I think it's all on the left side anyway. 126 is when the verse comes in. Synthesizer pops up at 129, 147, and then again at 150, but also at 150 is the instrumental break. 207, synthesizer pops up again. 213 pops up again. 219, it pops up again. 222, it goes into a verse, and then 225, the synthesizer pops up again. 233, synthesizer pops up again, and then 250, synthesizer pops up again. And then by 258, there's a definitive change up in the song structure, which I would definitely say is probably more along the lines of a chorus, in which the synthesizer is now just also, it's not going away anymore. It's like, it seems like this like changeling being, like this like fucking shapeshifter of sorts. I definitely classify this album as art more than music, but definitely for Disorder, it's kind of this perfect blending of the two. Day of the Lords, I would say, is a little bit more artistic than on the musical side, but it's still pretty catchy. And as for progress of the album itself, from track 1 to track 2, it definitely is giving off this storyline like vibe. It's not like they're just like 10 random fucking tracks being put together by the band that they're just like, we just came up with these fucking tracks. In a way, I guess once again, it could be argued potentially that way, but anyway. So Bernard, Peter, and Steven all start out the track all at once, but they're kind of like forming, like almost in a way, like kind of like Voltron again. in about like 18 seconds, I'd say is like this fully formed and once again very catchy moment of the song. At about 34 seconds is when the verse comes in. 53 seconds is when the chorus comes in, but a synthesizer comes in also with the chorus, and it kind of goes, it continues along into the bridge, and kind of like dissipates or fades away at about 122. Also when the verse starts up again. 140 is when the chorus and the synthesizer starts up again. 153, 155 is when there's an instrumental break. 227 is the verse. I would say the verse kind of starts up, I guess, and once it gets kind of like that fully formed kind of sound again, and then Ian's vocals come in at about 243. 301, the chorus with the synthesizer comes in. 315, there's an instrumental break. Again, 333, it's kind of like a shouting verse. It kind of reminds me, I would almost say it's kind of almost like verse 2, but I mean like the actual song structure itself doesn't really change. I mean, it's a lot more intense, but Ian is definitely shouting more similarly to how he was shouting with the choruses. I mean, not at the very beginning, but towards the middle, and now definitely towards the end. Like I said, 333 is, I would say, like the verse again, and then 354 is the chorus, and then 408 is an instrumental break, and it's kind of like, I would say, like kind of like a 2, because like the guitar is definitely going a little bit more in it. I guess I will say though, the instrumental break at 315, there is no synthesizer at that moment. And again, at about 408, that instrumental break again, with that change up of the guitar, there is no synthesizer again. I'd definitely say there's influences of progressive rock as well. It's definitely punk, it's definitely that gothic, once it gets very tense, a lot more horrific, I would say, in comparison to progressive rock. But I mean, progressive rock can have its moments as well. And like, they kind of like, I'd say like kind of stepped on it over each other's lines every now and again, but like I think it was all in good faith or whatever. The track Candidate reminds me if like the Beatles were more menacing. There's definitely been like some tracks that the Beatles have done that you could definitely say are menacing, but this track in particular is very beatnik, but it's very minimal in some aspects. Drum and bass fade in. Then you got the verse, and there's still the guitar doesn't even come in about 32 seconds, and it's kind of like this like spirit that's just kind of just wallowing around, just drifting along the hallways. At about 38 seconds, well, okay, so just like I said, drum and bass come in, they fade in. 25 seconds in is the verse. 32 seconds is when the guitar comes in. 38 seconds is when it goes into this little bit of an instrumental. Well, I would say more of a break. And once again, like the actual song structure itself, it doesn't really change up too much. I mean, like there's variation, there's fills, but like it's just for the most part, like this, it's pretty consistent. It doesn't change up too much. And once like there's no, as far as I'm seeing, there really wasn't even any choruses. It was just I went verse and then a little bit of a break, verse, break, verse, break, verse, break. I mean, like anyway, 38 seconds, like I said, is the break. 46 seconds, the verse. 113, you got the break. 128 is the verse. 211 is a break. 228 is the verse, and it kind of just like closes out from there. It's pretty. I mean, it's verse, break, verse. I mean, it doesn't even like really. If anything, it's just kind of like it's just verse throughout the entire song. It's just when fucking Ian's vocals come in and just step away. It's as simple as that. I mean, it's very experimental, man. I mean, it's definitely convenient that Peter Hook's fucking name is Hook, but I mean, the bass is fucking very hooky, man. It's very catchy, even though it's very minimal at the same time. The song structure for these tracks is like fucking, crazy, man. Like, it's not typical at all. I mean, to get into it, there's like a low hum at about, starting out the song for Insight. About 16 seconds, there's a gate door opening, but then there's like that synthesizer they use or whatever. It just kind of like makes one noise or whatever. The band kind of fades in at about 30 seconds. I'd say like the verse kind of starts at about like 36 seconds. That's when like kind of the song really forms. 40 seconds is when the synthesizer comes in again. There's another gate door opening at about 45 seconds. At about 55 seconds is when Ian Curtis's vocals come in. 153 is an instrumental break, and which has this synthesizer is kind of like arpeggiating, kind of like out of control. I mean, there's definitely once again that changeling or shapeshifter kind of element to it to this entire album itself. But I mean, you can definitely see each track. Just, I mean, it's just so fucking. And once again, it's not verse, chorus, verse for them. I mean, I don't. Anyway, anyway. So like I said, 153 is the instrumental break where the synthesizer is kind of like, kind of like losing it, arpeggiator wise. It goes back to the verse at 215. Ian Curtis's vocals coming at about 233. There's another instrumental break at 332 with that synthesizer arpeggiating, kind of just losing it again, kind of going crazy. And then it kind of the band kind of, or the song dissipates at about like 410. So I mean, like, once again, you got like Ian Curtis's vocals doing this, just doing verse, but like there isn't. I mean, he's definitely applying like a lot of feeling to his vocals as well. That's probably why it's so successfully done. I mean, that's not one reason why, but yeah. I mean, once again, it's just there's no, as far as I'm seeing, there really isn't any definitive chorus unless you consider once again the instrumental breaks as choruses. Honestly, I mean, just listening to like, say, New Dawn Fades or even any of these tracks, like there's even like a certain like early metal, even like doom metal, kind of Black Sabbath-y kind of, it's kind of slowed down at moments. I mean, it can speed up at other times, but I mean, like, I don't know. It once again, it's very menacing, very tense, and it just, I don't know. It has very similar themes to Black Sabbath, in my opinion. So I wrote on the side while I was listening to New Dawn Fades as to why potentially, the artistic reasoning why. I mean, once again, for New Dawn Fades, I mean, like New Dawn Fades, excuse me. There's, in my opinion, there might be one moment that you could potentially categorize as a chorus, but for the most part, the song structure has been vocals or a verse, instrumental break, verse, instrumental break, verse. I mean, like there's variation in the song structure itself. It's pretty consistent. I mean, it's very no wave. It's like early as fuck no wave. It's like proto no wave, if you want to fucking say that shit. But I wrote the reason why they did this is the words are so strong, they're so powerful that it needs a time after it to literally contemplate in thought, or just what is being said. I mean, personally, once again, I say that, and when I listen to music, I'm not really paying attention to what is being said. I'm just listening to the beat or the music itself, the flow of it. But I wish I did pay more attention to the vocals, specifically what was being said. I mean, I already as I said, I already talked about I already talked about the lyrics. But anyway, so like I said, once again, it's the word. It's going into an instrumental break because once again the words are just so fucking powerful that you kind of need this this time to just kind of like almost like a moment of silence. I mean, even though the fucking music's playing, but like I said, still very menacing. I mean, this album in general is just very intriguing yet menacing, or very menacing yet intriguing, however you want to fucking take it. But anyway, there's a synthesizer that kind of starts off the song, but it kind of stops a second after the drums come in, and the drums come in at about 9 seconds. So the synthesizer stops at about 10 seconds. The bass comes in about 16, guitar comes in about 29 seconds. 119 is when the verse comes in. 205, there's an instrumental break. 231, you got Ian. I mean, it goes back to the verse, but Ian's shouting. I mean, I would say he's a little bit more fucking. I don't know. There's a little bit more emotions into it, and he's crooning like a motherfucker for the most part. And there's times where he's actually like he's singing more than he's doing that spoken word kind of punk vocal take, I guess. I don't know. I can't even fucking come up with the words. Anyway, like I said, 231 is when goes back to the verse, and you got Ian shouting now the vocals for the verse. And then 306 once again is like this is the crooning part, and you could say that once again this is the chorus, I guess, but once again the song structure doesn't really change up all that much, other than it's already adding all that variation throughout. It's very blues like, or very freeform blues, jazz, whatever. Pick one. It could be fucking both. Anyway, so like I said, 306. I guess you can once again either say this is still a verse, still a verse. It's not changing. I mean, it's just now he's singing, I guess. But I would say it's more kind of like a verse 2 of sorts, rather than once again a chorus. And at 330, there's an instrumental break, which I don't know once again if I'd call it a guitar solo, but the guitar is definitely taking a fucking time to shine at this time. And then at about 430, it kind of dissipates. I mean, they're very ghostly, all these tracks. They're, every single fucking one's like kind of like been fading in, kind of fading out. There's definitely a lot of things that just kind of remind me of, fucking spirits and whatnot. Other world or whatever the fuck. I mean, I don't know if there's a difference between netherworld and otherworld. I mean, I think otherworld is like kind of just a space, kind of like a void of sorts, whereas netherworld is hell, I guess, or underworld of the dead. So, all right, so I'm on She's Lost Control, and I'm like halfway through kind of deciphering everything. I mean, either the bass is pretty quiet on this one, or it kind of comes in at this one part, which I'll mention. I mean, I guess I'll get more in detail, but it is kind of, I don't know if, I mean, from what I think there's even a second guitar that comes in as well. I mean, I guess I'm a little confused, a little bit. I mean, I don't know if the bass is actually on like, really, really high up on the neck, making really fucking, lighter, higher octave notes, or if once again the guitar is kind of doing a lot more than I'm even fucking realizing. But I mean, with that being said, I'm gonna fucking, apply that to the deciphering of this fucking song structure. All right, so like I said, this is either going to be really confusing. I mean, it's probably going to be confusing. I mean, once again, I want to say, I mean, I thought actually it started out with, She's Lost Control starts off with a drum machine, and then I believe it's a bass, actually, not the good. I thought actually it was going to start out with a drum. Well, I mean, technically it's a drum machine. I mean, I don't know if it's, kind of a combination of drums and drum machine, but anyway, and once again, I thought it was maybe the guitar and the drums kind of, I mean, cause I thought 9 seconds the guitar comes in, but it could be, I believe it actually just might be the bass. And then about 22 seconds, I mean, so once again, already fucking confusing, so I don't know if it's either the bass or the guitar that starts up, but I believe, I'm going to say it's honestly, I think the bass actually, that comes in at about 9 seconds. 22 seconds, like I said, the verse comes in, and there's, delirious backing vocals kind of applied to Ian Curtis's. I mean, like, it's kind of like, I would say, you got Ian Curtis's vocals, and then you lead vocals, and then you got like this backing vocal, kind of like, I don't even, effect thing. Like I said, kind of like this delirious, or like kind of delirious. I don't know how to even describe it. It's fucking like whirling and stuff. About 49 seconds, you got this like little drum fill that kind of, symbolizes basically this is time for the instrumental break. So like I said, 22 seconds is the verse, and about 55 seconds or so you got that fill. And like I said, about 56 seconds, and I thought either the bass comes in or the guitar comes in, or maybe, I mean, once again, by this point, by 56 seconds, by 56 seconds, excuse me, both the guitar and the bass and the drums are all, fucking playing by this point. I don't know if, once again, the guitar's coming at this time, and the bass has already always been playing, or vice versa, where the guitar's always been playing and the bass just comes in. I mean, once again, I guess I'm not the most fucking savvy in that, which makes me feel like a fucking reject. Anyway, so like I said, at about 56 seconds, when the last remaining instrument comes in, you got instrumental break, goes back to the verse at 108, and then again it does another little drum fill, kind of indicating that it's an instrumental break again. At 2:15, I think like there's a second guitar that comes in, I believe, I'm pretty damn sure. It's just a second guitar track. At about 2:28, you got the verse. 3:08, there's an instrumental break with a guitar. I mean, I don't know if it's exactly a guitar solo, or if it's just kind of, now it's not, second lead anymore, because clearly the vocals would be, primary lead. So now, because there's no vocals, guitar is allowed to like kind of fucking do its fucking thing. It's very similar to New Dawn Fades, in my opinion. The one at like 3:30, and for New Dawn Fades, excuse me, the instrumental break. But then, at about 3:37, there's like kind of this like added flare kind of sound for the drum machine, and that kind of indicates that it's pretty much over by this point. I'd definitely even say there's like trace elements of industrial in here. The last thing I'll say about She's Lost Control is the verse is, I don't know, it's got, the track title, or the title track, as lyrics for most of the verses. Or verse segments anyway, and so like it's almost kind of got this like verse / chorus effect to it, or once again kind of like, I I don't know how to describe it other than like, it's either, it's kind of like this blending of the two. And but once again, it's the words are still so powerful that like, these instrumental breaks are kind of like just times to like, just fucking think, I guess. It's extremely artistic, but there's elements of it being super catchy. It's definitely that perfect blending of art and music. I don't know if anyone knows what I'm talking about when I say like the difference between like making art and making music, or making art or a film or whatever. Like there's experimental approaches more likely in art compared to music tends to be a little bit more contemporary, just like kind of like it's gonna have verse, chorus, verse, not like what is it, now rock the boat kind of fucking mentality. Shadowplay really continues this fucking experimental fucking art music blend. The song structure itself still kind of, I guess you could argue that potentially at one moment there's a chorus, I guess. Or I don't know. Maybe, but just once again, usually when there's a, verse, chorus, it's a very definitive change up or so. But, like I said, the song structure is very in lieu of like this no wave or proto no wave. Like the song structure doesn't, like there's a lot of variation. And once again, it's just this verse, instrumental break, verse, instrumental break. If you were looking for the guitar solo track, this would probably be the one. This track, specifically the guitar, definitely reminds me of like Gotham City, like fucking Batman. It also reminds me of, a lot of gothic rock bands, like especially if anyone's trying to make that kind of sound. Like this seems to be like the track that everyone tries to like replicate, in my opinion, anyway. It's a very good track, but anyway. So bass, starts it up. 4 seconds in, the drums come in. 31 seconds, you got that Gotham City guitar coming in. At about 41 seconds, you got the verse. It kind of even reminds me of like almost like 50s rock and roll in a sense. American rock and roll. In my opinion, but once again, it's very fucking, it's fucking it's what's the word, fucking filled in with fucking shadow. It's fucking embedded with fucking shadow and fucking this dark energy for sure. Like I said, it's menacing. It's very overall it's like I said, the album is intriguing yet menacing, or menacing yet intriguing, however you want to fucking say it. Anyway, so like I said, 41 seconds is the verse. That's when the vocals come in. 107 is an instrumental break, and like I said, it goes into, I would say, definitive guitar solo, and it only gets more and more fucking intense as the song goes on. At about 140, you got the verse, or it goes back to the verse. 206, you got the instrumental break, guitar solo, which once again is a little more intense this time. 218, Ian's like, shouting, so how typically some of these songs have been going so far is, they get more intense as the song goes on. Excuse me. But like I said, at 218, it's like, I would say almost like a verse 2 or chorus. This is probably the most chorusy part. But once again, it kind of like the song structure itself, it just reminds me no more of the verse, that it is the verse. But the only person that's changing it up is Ian. Anyway, at 244, it goes into the instrumental break guitar solo, and I think there might be like a second guitar coming in about 328. But it's fucking this, it's a pretty goddamn good song, man. If a lake, rippling and has a moon reflecting off of it could be any more intense, that would be this song, in my opinion. It's very, there's a very beautiful nature to it, but once again, it's almost like traumatized, or it's fucking in like an intense amount of fear, or I don't know, man. It's just fucking menacing, man. Alright, so as I was listening to Wilderness, this track reminded me of like pioneers cultivating the land. Like the guitar sounded like a chainsaw chopping down fucking trees. And the entire surrounding environment, it just sounded like fucking nature, just a fuck ton of trees. And once again, just cultivating the land. The song structure is pretty fucking refreshing, in my opinion. Overall for this entire album, but especially this one. This one, okay, so it's unusual. Once again, like there's a time where I guess you could potentially say that this is a chorus at the very end. But it's been mostly just this verse. instrumental break. But I mean, this time it's got like verse, and then it goes into a bridge into an instrumental break, then back into the verse. So let me, just fucking anyway. So the bass comes in, starts the song out. Drums come in at about 4 seconds. The guitar comes in about 13 seconds. Once again, sounding like a fucking chainsaw. 22 seconds, I would say, is the verse. I mean, it almost has. I mean, I guess in a way you could say this is kind of like proto fucking noise rock too, with fucking or even shoegaze as well, because I mean, fucking almost reminds me of Jesus and Mary Chain, but once again, Jesus and Mary Chain came fucking later. Anyway, like I said, at 22 seconds is the verse. You got the bridge at 40 seconds, and then it goes back into the verse at 48 seconds, and then at 58 seconds you got the vocals come in for that verse. 117 there's a bridge again. 125 is an instrumental break, which then goes back into the verse at 151. Vocals come in at 202, and then at 213 you could say once again this is either a second vocal take, or it's once again going back to the verse again, or verse 2, or it's a chorus once again, because he's definitely once again crooning and he's singing and stuff. Once again, a lot of emotions here. And then at 222 it goes into the that bridge sound again, or bridge part again, and then it just kind of ends. Once again, man, for Interzone, for this entire fucking album, it seems, I mean, pretty sure I Remember Nothing doesn't have a fucking chorus in it either. But there doesn't seem to be a chorus, and if there is, it's like very fucking brief. Like, Interzone's kind of a call and response for vocals. But I mean, there is a definitive change up, making it a definitive verse 2 compared to how the other ones have been like maybe a verse 2. So Interzone starts out with drums, guitar comes in at 5 seconds, bass, and I think either backing vocals or a synthesizer come in at about 6 seconds, but that backing vocals or that synthesizer that's making noise or whatever that's accompanying the bass or the song in general kind of leaves at about 22 seconds. It comes back at about like 124, but anyway, jumping ahead of myself. So, like I said, bass comes in with that, synthesizer, that backing vocals at 6 seconds. Verse 1 at 24 seconds. And then it goes into an instrumental break at 42. And then it goes back to the verse at 51. There's a little fill at 110. At 112, you got verse 2. Once again, it's a very different, it's definitely, definitively like a different take on the song structure for this song in general. The song in general, this song structure for this entire album's been fucking wacky. But like I said, verse 2 at 112, definitive verse 2. Or once again, I guess you could call that the chorus, but I don't know. Maybe. And then 124 is that instrumental break again, and with that kind of backing vocals, kind of like synthesizer, kind of making, I don't know what it sounds like a howling of sorts. And then at 143 you got the verse again, just regular verse 1, and then at 201 there's an instrumental break that then eventually ends the song. It's definitely making me think of Psycom. Once again, Psycom came after. I'll definitely say that Ian Curtis is crooning way more than doing like a spoken word kind of punk assault, I guess, compared to An Ideal for Living. I Remember Nothing is probably like the weirdest one. I fucking shouldn't have wrote down all the times where there was that spraying noise or whatever. It sounded kind of like almost like how a train will whistle or whatever, almost. But it starts off with humming. Drums come in about 6 seconds. The bass comes in about 19. Like I said, about 25 seconds, there's like that steam noise or whatever. Guitar comes in about 27 seconds. Steam noise comes in again at 32 seconds. Once again, I don't know why the fuck I wrote down all these times. It's just like, I don't know. But anyway, like I said, that steam noise comes in about 32 seconds. Glass breaks at 48 seconds. The verse starts at 53 seconds, or rather, Ian's vocals start in. Then you got that steam noise at 113, 121, 148, 155, 212. Then there's an instrumental break at 246. The verse starts up at 302. Then 234. Like fucking out of order already. Then you got that steam noise again at 334, 335, 417, 424, 429, you got that steam noise and the glass breaking. 436, you got the steam. 443, you got the steam. 449, you got steam and the glass. 456, or once it gets that spraying noise, probably fucking from a can, a spray can. I think I saw that anyway. 502 once again, or 456, 502. You got fucking that spraying noise. 508, 524, 535, 541. I mean, once again, just that spraying noise. I mean, I don't know. I don't know why the fuck I wrote it down so many times. I guess just once again, just to indicate, it's not exactly, it's not exactly a gong. I mean, it's percussion clearly, but I mean, it's just. Once again, it's not probably important to remember all those fucking time frames. Just that it comes in kind of almost not exactly random, but like when it's necessary, I guess, rather than just being a melody or a rhythm or whatever, or even a beat. Just kind of atmosphere. I mean, once again, this is probably their most artistic song off of the entire album, and their most experimental as well. There's, like I said, a brief moment of an instrumental break before going to the verse, but once again, definitely there's no chorus here. It's just all, I guess, I don't know, when it go into the verse part, it's that call and response thing, and I guess you could potentially call that the chorus. I don't know. I don't know, man. Like, once again, when I think of chorus, I'm thinking of like literally there's like a definitive, I guess once again you could argue that call and response is a definitive change, but I guess I digress on that. So, just in conclusion, for Unknown Pleasures, it's very menacing yet intriguing, or very intriguing yet menacing, however you want to take it. It really, I don't know. Once again, if you don't even pay attention to all the fucking time frames or when it changes up, at least know. It's just kind of like, like, I don't know, it just gives an idea of, when to change and why, why add this, and, because once again, it's adding, it's filler and whatnot, but sometimes, like, you can fucking just, like, for example, like with production, you can become way too overproduced. This is a very minimal album for the most part. There's a couple of times where maybe there's a second guitar coming in, but like I said, for the most part, it's a very minimal fucking album. Just kind of comes in when it needs to. There's a lot of space. But with that being said, thanks for listening and take care.